Slow down, you got to slow down and take it easy. Slow down, you got to slow down and take it easy.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Stogie Video Review. I'm a little behind schedule here. I really didn't have the time that I had expected over the holiday weekend to get my last review done. So what I did, obviously you've probably seen it if you were watching this on the site, was I compiled all the bargain cigar reviews that I've done thus far, and just made a listing. And you've got just an article with 4 cigars, all linked back to their original reviews and videos, and basically just breaking down what I've done so far. And this review is continuing on that. We're moving right along with those bargain cigar reviews and doing the La Finca this time around. This is a Robusto size. It's what I would typically call a Rothschild, but it's labeled a Robusto. It's a 50 by 4.5. Now it's a Nicaraguan Puro, so the wrapper, binder, and filler are all Nicaraguan grown, and the country of origin is Nicaragua as well. Now, I was trying to look up some information on the brand history of the cigar, and it is very, very confusing. I figured that it was a subdivision of something, and it was either made by General Cigar, Altadis, or one of the others, Matatza, and all of those. Well, I did some digging around and had a really hard time locating this particular brand. So I looked a little bit more, and I browsed on the JR Cigars website, and this cigar, I remembered it was offered in a sampler, the Natsa sampler. It's Nicaraguan American Tobacco SA, and so I did a little searching on that, and there's like contract agreements and stuff like that coming up, which is kind of confusing. It looks like this cigar is a part of JR Cigars, or is owned by Lou Rothman in whole or in part. I'm not sure, but there's not a whole lot of information on the particular brand, so that kind of sucks. As blatant as it may seem. Now, this brand, this Natsa, N-A-T-S-A, they also put out cigars such as the Floria Ferra, Jose Marti, and the Remedios. And I know that simply because I found a sampler on JR's, which includes the La Finca, and it goes on to say that, the Natsa factory in Nicaragua, and on and on and on and on. But I guess it's about time I should tell you how much it costs. But moving right along with this one particular cigar, not counting the sampler, which is also relatively inexpensive. We've got what I think is a Rothschild. There's one I'm going to keep calling it a Rothschild. It's actually a Robusto. They come in boxes at 25 for $39.95. You add the standard JR shipping charge at $2.50, brings you to $42.45. They divide it out by 25 cigars, gets you $1.70 per single, which is well under that $3 cap that I set for myself for these bargain cigar reviews. And I've got some others planned, but I'm not quite sure what to do about them. Last year when I bought the cigars, they were readily available, and it seems that some of them are either discontinued or they're just not being made anymore for whatever reason, whether they're, I guess all in all they're discontinued. But anyway, I'll have to do a little digging so I can determine whether or not they're available, so I know whether I can or cannot review those cigars later on for you. So at this point, I really have no idea what's coming up next week. Possibly a 100 bundle from cigarplace.biz, which was sent to me a couple weeks ago, and that's all I got as far as what's coming up in the near future. Pardon my jumbled around this. I'm trying to catch up in the middle of the week, and that's usually not when I do these videos, so please bear with me. I got my my Finca lit up here. It's burning evenly. The draw is very easy. I've excuse me. I bought 3 of these last year. I've smoked 2 so far. This is my 3rd and final one from last year. And this seems to be the exception in the draw department. The one I just had last night had a bit of a snug draw to it, and this one's very free and easy. And my first one was a little firm. It wasn't quite nearly, it wasn't nearly as free as this cigar is. Initially, it's medium bodied. It's got a little bit of a spice to it. It's tickling the back of my throat, and that's about it as far as the cigar goes for right now. You know, first impressions. The pre-light inspection, the cigar's got like a worn leather sort of color to it. It's very consistent from head to foot. It looks good. I mean, if you were to hand this to me, and you know, I would never guess that it was a bargain price cigar, because typically, you know, they give up a little bit in the quality department as far as the aesthetics are concerned, you know, to bring the price down. But this one looks pretty good. There is a patch on one particular side. I tried to take a few pictures of it, and it matches the wrapper very well. It's kind of like an oblong shape, so it blends in fairly well. The only thing that gave it away was there's a little bit of a wrinkle to it, so I noticed it. So that's that. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to get myself together here a little bit better, and we'll continue along with the first third of my La Finca Robusto / Rothschild. Welcome back, folks. I got a little sidetracked. I'm about halfway through the cigar. I decided to change up the written review a little bit and kind of gear it a little more towards what Brian does. I really like his reviews, and I especially like the format that he uses. So I decided to model mine after his and get, you know, pretty similar to it, while keeping it sort of, I don't know, my sort of style. So I got totally sidetracked, you know, writing about the cigar and laying it out in such a way, and kind of forgot to keep track of where I was and turn the camera back on. But I'm halfway through the cigar, and the one thing that comes to mind, or the first word that comes to mind, is fast. This cigar is just screaming fast as far as the burn is concerned. You know, within the first 15 minutes, I had an ash that was 1 inch long, and for me, it's amazing. You know, usually after 15 minutes, I've got this tiny little thing on the end that resembles an ash, just because of how slow I smoke. But this cigar is just puffing right along. It doesn't seem to be getting overly hot. You know, it's not unpleasant. It's really not. It's not leaving me with a heated feeling in my mouth. And those of you that have kind of puffed on a cigar like a chimney know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, a cigar tends to get hotter, or it gets short. You know, either from over puffing or just the fact that it gets short. You can really feel the heat, and I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it with this cigar. And the length really has nothing to do with it. I mean, you can really overheat a cigar and feel the heat. You know, on a Churchill that you lit, you know, just 5 minutes ago. The heat just travels right down the cigar, and I'm certainly not getting it with this cigar. Now, even though the burn is fast, it's nice and even. I mean, you know, the burn line is thin. It's putting out this firm, light-colored ash, and you know, it's nice. It's very well behaved. The draw isn't quite as fast as the pre-light led me to believe. The draw wasn't as fast. I think I just screwed that up. But anyway, the draw is not as free as the pre-light led me to believe. I don't know whether, you know, I'm getting a little bit of expansion because the cigar is starting to warm up, what, but the cigar is drawing a little, there's a little bit more resistance now, and it's in my comfort level. I like it. I like it the way it is right now. Initially, it was a little concerning, a little too loose, but that's neither here nor there at this point. The finish it's a little dry, and it's got there's a slight bit of almost like a little bit of a pepper tinge to it. It kind of tickles the back of my throat, irritates it just slightly. It's not really that bad, but it is something to mention, at least on my end. I don't know if you'll pick it up, but I certainly do. There's just certain cigars that it kind of tickle the back of my throat, and this just happens to be one of them. The base flavor is nutty, and it's got flavors of pepper that are quite nice. I like the flavor combination. It sounds kind of odd, but it's nice. And it's there's a spiciness to it. There's a spicy component that when you expel the smoke through your sinuses, it becomes a little much. At least for me, anyway. It's not quite over the top, but it's a little more than I prefer. I like a spicy cigar, but this is I guess it's just a different type of spice. When you compare when you add the pepper flavor and the spice together, it just gives me this not completely pleasant and enjoyable combination. But it's decent. I'm enjoying the smoke so far. I'm stumbling all over myself with the words here, but I'm enjoying the cigar. At this point, I should probably talk about something, and maybe, I don't know, just kind of gravitate away from the cigar a little bit. As you all know, Jerry unfortunately has decided to move on, and it's no fault of his own. I mean, he had some really tough times there, and it's really sad to see him go. We've been doing this for almost 2 years now. It's I don't know. I really, we just depended on one another to have the site run smoothly and stay in line. And it's really sad to see Jerry going through this. But I think he made the best decision. I wish him and Michelle the best. But I'm not like I emailed Jerry and we talked about this. I'm not looking at this as a goodbye. It's more of a see you later. I'm sure as time passes and things get easier for him, he'll find his way back to the Stogie Review, and we'll get back to the good old the good old times, I guess. Where we're just laughing and carrying on through the YQMA shows, and we'll just see where time takes us. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to take a quick break. Try to remember to start the camera up before I get down to the nub of my little Finca, and I'll see you in just a sec.
Just as long as I can share it all with you. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, come rain, come shine.
Well, welcome back, folks. It seems like I just turned the camera off, and I was away long enough to type up something really quick, and now I'm back to do a really abbreviated, quick second, third wrap up here. This is second, third review here. Actually, just getting to that. Looks like another patch underneath the band. I just took it off and noticed it. The cigar is pretty much on par with the first third. It's still smoking fast. It's burning nice and thin and nice and even. The burn line's thin. Each puff, it puts out a thick, nice, dense smoke. Now it lingers around the room a little bit. It's maybe medium, mild medium, as far as the aroma is concerned. I don't find it very offensive. I don't know. I like the smell of cigars, so I'm really not going to find any of them really offensive. But the finish is still a touch dry. I mean, that hasn't changed. I don't think it's even been long enough for that to change. The there's a little bit of a spiciness that's still tickling the back of my throat. Base flavor still nutty and then peppery, and I'm beginning to notice a little more now. There's a mild leather flavor in the background, and it really kind of pops. Well, it's mild, but it kind of stands out a little bit more after you get a sip of cool water on your palate, and it just seems to kind of bring things forward. And that leathery flavor is one of the more pleasant things that come forward. So that's it. Really quick, abbreviated second, third, and I will be back, and we'll do final third and wrap up and close this thing out. So we'll see you in a second. Still plugging away my Finca, Robusto / Rothschild, and it's not a bad cigar. I mean, I'm enjoying it from a construction standpoint or a behavior standpoint. It's holding up well. I mean, with the exception of the fast burn, I haven't had any problems with it at all. Now, the draw seems to have loosened up a little bit. That's leading to the cigar getting a little hot, and it's a little tough to manage. The base flavor turns to more of a kind of woody, peppery mix then when you get this short. And the tough part is, one puff you get this decent kind of woody, peppery mix. They set the cigar down for a second, pick it up, take another puff, and the flavors just get rough. I mean, that's really the only way I know how to describe it. They just get rough and they get a little harsh, and that's just because the cigar is getting hot. And it's totally expected because of how short it is and just the way the draw is. So, I find myself kind of cutting my smoke time or the amount of time in between puffs. I'm doubling it just to try to manage the cigar. And when I'm doing that, I'm finding it difficult to keep the cigar lit. So it's really this. It's a tough balance to get into to keep the cigar burning well yet produce good flavors. So it's tough, but you can do it. It's just you kind of really got to get into the groove. The finish is still on the dry side. Still irritates the back of my throat a little bit. The heat seems to be irritating my throat a little bit more. That roughness just kind of hits me in the back of the throat. But overall, it's not a bad smoke, I don't think. Let's see, body. Body's still in the medium range. It really hasn't gone anywhere. Good solid medium bodied cigar from start to finish. Overall, I think the cigar did well. I found it surprisingly fast as far as the burn goes. And, I know some of you are reading the review thinking, wow, 90 minutes into the cigar and you're saying it's burning really fast. For a 4.5 inch long cigar, you should have been done that 45 minutes ago. But I know I'm a slow smoker, and cigars typically take me a long time. And I think part of the reason the cigars take me so long is because I have a tendency to take a quick puff or two, maybe three, and then put it in the ashtray, and then wait. I think if you have a tendency to hold the cigar in your fingers, you're going to just ultimately be a faster smoker. It's in your hand, or if you leave it in your mouth, you're going to smoke even faster. But that's just my observation. And I know when I'm at my local cigar shop, I tend to smoke cigars faster because I'm always holding on to them. And I don't know, it's more of like an inconvenience thing. The chairs are nice and cushy and laid back, and the end tables, you got to sit up and put it in the ashtray. So I always just end up holding it in my hands, lounge back, and just relax. and that's just how it goes. And I smoke cigars faster there. But when I'm at home, and I can just relax and do my own thing without needing to move all around. The ashtray is well within reach. The smoke time dramatically goes up. And even though the review is based on 90 minutes of smoking, that's pretty fast for me. I don't know how else to express that. The price at $1.70 per from JR Cigars, I think I paid about $1.95 at the cigar shop last year for these. I think that's very affordable, and the flavors aren't incredibly interesting. They're not going to grab your attention and force you to focus on the cigar, but it's a nice cigar to have. For instance, while you're typing up something. In my case, I'm typing up the review based on my notes and this particular cigar. So, it's nice. It's not a bad cigar. I don't know that I'd run out and buy a box tomorrow, but it's certainly something I would consider. If I came across an extra couple bucks and I wanted to pick up a decent yet inexpensive box of cigars. So that is, that's just the way I feel about the La Finca. So take it for what it's worth. That's all I have for you this week. As you're all aware, Jerry will not be doing reviews on Fridays, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to address that as of yet. I think for the time being, I may take his Friday slot and maybe do a sort of around the blogs type of thing on Monday. Cigar Jack and Stogie guys do a very good job of sharing the links and really spreading the word about all the blogs around. And it was something that I always really appreciated them doing. It drives a lot of links in a lot of different directions, but it was just something that we could never really fit into the schedule comfortably. And I think now we may follow their lead and possibly do that on Mondays, or maybe throw it in sometime during the week. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do this yet. And YQMA is really up in the air at this point. I'm certainly going to continue doing it, but I'm not quite sure how I'm going to address it in the future. I would like to not have to do it by myself, but if I have to, I will. I'm going to ask around a little bit, see if I can get some guests. Maybe if I can get 2, 3, maybe 4 people to kind of rotate with me, we can get through this easily, and no one has to have a fixed schedule but me. So, well, just got to see where this goes and how this takes us. I'm going to be changing things up just a little bit in 2008 as far as the advertising goes. You're going to start seeing a little bit of the share sale stuff for Tinderbox. You're not going to see big blatant ads all over the website. We're not doing the Google thing, but I think what we're going to do is incorporate the Tinderbox share sale links into some of the reviews. And essentially what that does is it gives us a little bit of a kickback to help pay for the site. That was an expense Jerry and I shared, and while it's not astronomical, I think it's about time that the site really started paying for itself, so that it isn't out of pocket from 1 or 2 people. But that's the idea. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle it yet. I've always been very upfront with Jerry in the fact that I did not want big blatant ads all over the site. I can't stand visiting websites where all you see is ads. So you're certainly not going to have to worry about seeing that on StogieReview.com. As far as how I'm going to do it is just I'm not quite sure yet. I think it's most likely just going to be text-based links and no graphics. So, but anyway, I've got a little bit of time to decide yet. I'll start implementing that in January. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that's that, and take just a second to thank everyone for keeping in touch, getting a lot of emails. My apologies if you haven't gotten a response to your email. Not ignoring you. Please don't take this as I'm too busy. Don't send me emails. Keep them coming. Just be aware that I may be a little slow in getting to them. We've had a lot going on as of late, both from the website, personal stuff going on, and it just never stops. So I'll see what I can do about getting to your emails. My apologies again for being delayed, but that's just how it goes. And that's about it. So until next time, happy smoking.